Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. September 26th, 2017.
The Kuhner Report, presented by Kelly Financial Services.
Blank you. Blank you. That's my message now to Roger Goodell and the NFL and all of those that are protesting the national anthem. Okay, my friends, just when you thought the issue would die down, in fact, it just got, if possible, even hotter. So, last night, Monday Night Football, Jerry Jones' team, he's the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Remember what Jerry Jones just said a few days ago, that if anybody on his team dared to kneel or boycott the national anthem, they would be fired. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what Jerry Jones himself said just a few days ago. Roll it, Brittany.
Again, seeing these players kneel on the field, not your team, but others. How do you feel about what you're seeing and the disrespect you're seeing towards the American flag right now?
Well, I do not think the place to express yourself in society is as we recognize the American flag and all the people that have made this great country, the very opportunity for us to be there in front of the nation. So that's not the place to do anything other than honor the flag and everybody that's given up a little for it.
That's not the place. You don't do that. Not on the field, not in front of the flag, not during the national anthem. Just not the place. Well, that was then, and this is now. Because last night, and to me, a ridiculous PR stunt, you want to talk about a public relations gimmick. There's good old Jerry. And he was on the field with the entire Cowboys team, including the general manager, including, I think, some of his kids, including the coach. And just before the national anthem, all of them kneel. All of them. Lock arms. The whole team. The whole freaking team. All of them kneel. To show solidarity with the other players who are protesting and boycotting the flag, the national anthem, and frankly spitting upon our country and our veterans and our military. But then to just be technically in compliance with what he said just before the national anthem started, there they were, they all stood up. So technically, they stood up during the national anthem, but of course they were protesting right up until the anthem on the field with the flag in full view. My friends, he's trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's trying to have it both ways. And so what he did was he boxed himself into a corner. I'll tell you what good old Jerry did. And I'm going to no way. Nobody's ever going to get fired. You're going to get suspended. No. And then all of a sudden, all of the owners and Roger Goodell said, your boys better kneel. And so Jerry came up, hey, let's just kneel. Let's just kneel just before the anthem and kneel and kneel and kneel. And then we'll stand just when the anthem starts to play. You phony, you fraud, you. And this, to me, goes to the heart of this issue. You want to know what the heart of this issue is? It's really very simple. The NFL hates America. The NFL, as my good friend Michael Savage rightly put it yesterday on his show, the National Felons League, that's what the NFL is. It's full of felons, full of thugs. These multi-millionaire thugs are now telling America that these multimillionaires are above and more important than the flag. They're more important than our nation. They're more important than our military. And they're more important than you. That's essentially what this message is. That they can spit on our flag, on our country, on those who fought and died for this country, and God forbid they should be held accountable. God forbid. And if you want proof that the NFL hates America, it's very simple. I can irrefutably prove it to you. Look at the rules of conduct governing self-expression for the NFL. That tells you everything you need to know. Because when you had players on the 15th anniversary of 9/11 who wanted to wear decals on their cleats commemorating those that died, commemorating the 3,000 dead and their families, the NFL told them, you don't have the right to express yourself. No. Take those decals off your cleats. We're going to fine you. We're going to punish you. You're going to be in big trouble. When the same Dallas Cowboys wanted to put stickers on their helmets to commemorate the 5 slain Dallas police officers who were murdered by a Black Lives Matter supporter as he shot them down on the street like dogs, the NFL said, no. You can't express yourself on the field. You can't honor the police officers that were murdered. So if you want to honor the victims of 9/11, blank you. If you want to honor the slain police officers, blank you. But if you want to take a knee, if you want to turn your back, if you want to, like LaShawn McCoy, literally stretch your groin, if you want to sit on the bench and openly disrespect the national anthem, the flag, our country, and our nation, go ahead. Go ahead. You can do it all day and all night. Now, what the NFL, and this is what is to me incredible, and I want to get to this a bit later in the show, what the NFL, CNN, the New York Times, the Boston Globe, I'll run down the whole list, the entire liberal media establishment and the sports media establishment, what they are now trying to tell us is this, that these players can do whatever they want. As long as you're protesting America, as long as you're protesting the flag, as long as you're disrespecting the national anthem and the military and our vets, you can do whatever you want. And we have no right to be offended. We have no right to boycott them. We have no right to demand that they be banned or fired. No right whatsoever. No right whatsoever. We have to just stand there like sheeple and take it. Well, I'm sorry. If I protest on the job, you know what happens to me? I'm fired. If you protest on the job, you know what happens to you? You're fired. Every employer in this country has the right to establish rules of conduct. For example, here, I'll just give you an example. Not just on the job, but even off the job. And it's very common sense. If I decided to join, say, I don't know, the KKK, and I decided to issue racist tweets on my time, on Facebook or Twitter, I'm out of a job. And I'm rightfully out of a job. Entercom would have every right, and they would be right to fire me. As an example. As an example. So, they can govern my conduct, whether it be on the job or certainly off the job. Now, how come these players can't be held accountable to the exact same standards that you and I are held to? How come when they're on the field, in uniform, dumping on our flag, dumping on our country, dumping on our anthem, dumping on all those who fought and died for that flag and for this country, all of a sudden now they're beyond reproach? All of a sudden now, according to Charlie Baker, Charlie Faker, our good-for-nothing governor, he comes out and says, well, they have the freedom of speech. They have the right to express themselves. And what, the president doesn't? Notice, everybody, according to the libs, has a right to express themselves except Trump and his supporters. Or conservatives. It's like the Bill of Rights only applies when the liberals want to apply it to themselves. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not how the way the world works. Now, let me be very clear. The issue here is crystal clear. You want to take a knee for whatever racial injustice you think was suffered in the National Felons League? You want to be not a multimillionaire, a multi-gazillionaire, zillionaire, and still play the victim card? You go ahead. It's a free country. But we have a right to be offended. And we have a right not to go to the games. And we have a right not to watch TV and to turn you off when you're on the tube. And we have a right to boycott. And yes, the owners have a right to either ban you, as Trump is now suggesting, and I think he's right, or to suspend or fire you. That's their prerogative as well. And let me throw even one more log on the fire. Because nobody in the media is even mentioning this very simple fact. I talked yesterday about the game in London on foreign soil at Wembley Stadium between the Ravens and the Jacksonville Jaguars. How 17 of the players, 17 of them, took a knee, protested the national anthem, including the coaches, including one of the owners, the Pakistani billionaire. He's the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay? Saeed Khan. Now, take Saeed Khan out of the equation. I'm talking now just about the players. That's only 17. Remember, there's over 100 players. Okay, about 50 on each team. So there's over 100 players. Of those 17 that just protested in London on foreign soil, and by the way, then they all stood up for God Save the Queen. The UK national anthem, that they stood up for. The American national anthem, poof, poof, they spit on. What do you think the total net worth of those just 17 players are? Take a guess. Take a guess. 100 million? Come on, Jeff. 200 million? Their net worth is $448 million. Let's not quibble. $450 million. Just those 17 players. I'm not talking about the 200 plus players and coaches who were boycotting and protesting the national anthem yesterday and on Sunday. That's worth more than the GNP, I kid you not, the gross national product of at least 10 other countries. That's how wealthy and successful they've become in America. And you dump on this country? On foreign soil on top of it? You're a bunch of spoiled, privileged, narcissistic, frankly, forgive me, ignorant, idiotic ingrates. That's what you are. If nobody else has the guts to say it, I'm going to say it. And so what this is about is the National Felons League, these multimillionaire thugs, spitting on you, on this nation, and on our country. And it's time we said, enough is enough. That's fine. You want to be offensive? That's your right. But we have the right to be offended. And remember this, they work for us. We pay those tickets. We watch their games. Their sponsors and advertisers and their salaries are ultimately dependent upon us. We have all the power. It's time we used it. Agree, disagree. Gary in Woburn. Go ahead, Gary.
Yes, hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Jeff, first of all, you are the best thing on radio. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Gary.
You got the Levitt family from Peabody all in your corner, just
Thank
so
you.
you know.
Thank you, sir.
That's where I'm originally from. But anyways, I want to recall one thing with Colin Kaepernick, who's pretty much instigated everything that's happened here. What people forget, not too long ago, Jeff, is that Colin Kaepernick actually supported the oppressive regime of one Fidel Castro. Very outspoken on it, wearing T-shirts with Castro's silhouette or picture of Fidel Castro, just basically saluting a guy who was responsible for some of the biggest atrocities that have taken place over the past 50 years outside the Middle East. Do you agree?
I completely agree. And
All right.
Gary, just to show you how right you are, okay? No one in the media wants to say this. My good friend Michael Savage did, but I'm going to say it as well. Let me tell you why Colin Kaepernick decided to do what he did, sitting on the national anthem. He was under the influence of his radical Muslim girlfriend. She was the one that told him, come on, Colin. Come on, Colin. You got to hate America, Colin. You got to protest the flag, Colin. So this good-for-nothing football player, completely washed up, this bum, who under the influence of his radical Muslim girlfriend, decided to essentially go on a jihad against America. That's what this was. And then this guy in his Fidel Castro t-shirt, which murders its own citizens. And by the way, Gary, look this up. They segregate blacks. Castro is a racist. Both the brothers are. Fidel died, but the two brothers were viciously racist, and blacks were treated as third-class citizens in Cuba. So not only is he a murderer and a thug and a dictator, he's also a vicious anti-black racist. And that's the guy Colin Kaepernick is lionizing? It's disgusting.
So why isn't this coming out in the mainstream media? Why are they just bypassing this, Jeff?
I'll tell you why, Gary. Because they're using this as part of the anti-Trump resistance.
That's all it is. You are 100% correct. I'm glad you said it. I've been all over Facebook saying this. A lot of people are going to disagree with me, but the bottom line is this, that Colin Kaepernick sat before he kneeled, and he sat in the back to basically say, look, I'm protesting. But someone told him, which is most likely his girlfriend, as you had mentioned, she said, you know what, you're not getting enough visibility. So what's he do? He moves up to the front and he kneels so that camera can see them. Now let's take that mainstream media. What did they do? You know, you've been in TV, you've been in radio. You do not have to focus on Colin Kaepernick kneeling at that particular time.
You're completely right.
They focused on it. And that's what they were trying to do. They stirred the pot, and they've stirred it. And now racism in this country is as big as I've ever seen it. And I go back to 1961 when I was born, and I was young during the time the race riots that took place in the 60s, thanks to the Ku Klux Klan and company. But I'll tell you what.
Oh, Gary, but now it's coming from the other side. And thank you for that call, Gary. Look, now it's going to come from the black supremacists. That's what Black Lives Matter is. I'm telling you. So they're trying to act like the Civil Rights Act never happened, like civil rights legislation never happened. And so now to foment, I'll tell you what's going on here. They want to foment and whip up so much hatred in the African-American community in particular. Why? Because they didn't turn out for Hillary in 2016 the way they did for Obama in 2008 and 2012. So to whip up hysteria, and I'm going to get into this, they're kneeling in Congress now. You have Congressional Black Caucus members calling for impeachment over Trump's comments on these kneelers, okay? They want to make them think that the Ku Klux Klan is in the White House, that there are now white supremacists everywhere. And Roger Goodell, a known leftist, and the entire mainstream media are in on this narrative. And that's why I'm telling you, this is not going to stop. This is going to continue all year, and now the NBA is getting on board. And so my question to you is this. Is it time to boycott the NFL? Your calls next. So last night in Monday Night Football, Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys, all of them took one mother knee just before the national anthem was played. They then stood up when the anthem itself was played, but they wanted to have it both ways. Listen now to the crowd in Arizona. When they see Arizona Cardinals players taking a knee and all of the Cowboys, all of them, locking arms and kneeling before the national anthem. Roll it, Brittany.
Players wanted to show unity, but they were very adamant about wanting to separate that message from the national anthem. Sean?
All right, Lisa, and as they take a knee collectively, boos can be heard from this sellout crowd in Arizona.
I mean, that's what's incredible, is they continue to do it, even though the fans are telling them this is disgusting, stop. They're booing them, and they just keep right on going. Lou in Rhode Island. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, how you doing, Jeff? I have a few points, actually. Number one, remember when, this goes back to the left. Obama, remember once he opined that we wish we had 3 networks again so that all the news was basically the same.
Yes.
That's what they want to do. Look, the bottom line is I got two big points. Number one, did you see anybody throwing bricks or bottles of urine or anything at those players to shut them up? Did anybody do anything to harm them? Did they try to hurt them in any way? But no, we see that from the left, though. You try to have free speech at any of our major colleges, Berkeley or any place else. Even in Boston, you were pointing out that one woman with a flag. She was grabbed. Her flag was taken away from her. The left, Black Lives Matter and Antifa, use force to try to stop free speech. Nobody is trying to stop their free speech. We're just trying to counter it with our own speech. That's number one. Number two, the whole Kaepernick thing started with a protest of the police and him wearing little pigs on his side.
Yes.
And it's led to more and more assassinations of police, and that's basically what it's about. It's demonizing the police, and in Dallas, over a year ago, 5 police were killed, and Jerry Jones just, what's he ignoring that? 12 wounded, 5 killed. It's ridiculous.
Lou, thank you for that call. And not to beat a dead horse, but when the Cowboys wanted to put stickers on their helmets to commemorate those 5 slain police officers by a Black Lives Matter fanatic, what did the NFL say? Niet. So you want to honor the cops? Blank you. You want to honor our veterans and those that died on 9/11? Blank you. But hey, you want to spit on the flag? We love you. That's the NFL. Okay, coming up next, you're not going to believe it. Alejandro Villanueva, the one hero in all of this, is now forced to apologize. That's right. He apologized for standing up and saluting the national anthem. That story next.
WRKO, the voice of Boston.
1237 here on the great WRKO. Okay, let me ask you this. It is the Kuhner Country poll question du jour, as the French would say, of the day. Sponsored by Bill Kelly Financial Services. Did Alejandro Villanueva essentially throw his team under the bus? Did Alejandro Villanueva betray his team by standing in that tunnel and saluting and singing the national anthem? If you believe the answer is yes, he did betray his team. He should not have stood for the national anthem by himself in the tunnel as the rest of the Pittsburgh Steelers were basically in the locker room. Text the letter A to 680 680. If, like me, you believe the answer is hell no, he's got every right to stand there and salute the national anthem and stand for it. No, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't betray anybody. Text the letter B to 680 680. As always, you can vote online at WRKO.com. So, remember I said this yesterday. I said, you watch how the liberals and the Democrats and all of the NFL owners and Roger Goodell barrel down on this poor guy. They're going to make him public enemy number 1. Because during the game with the Chicago Bears, the Pittsburgh Steelers decided all of them to be in the locker room, with some of them standing in the tunnel. Well, Alejandro Villanueva, the offensive lineman, serving 3 tours, he served 3 tours in Afghanistan, an Army Ranger, has received the Bronze Star for valor in battle, for saving people's lives, stood there by himself, defying his coach, defying his teammates, defying, frankly, most of the NFL, put his hand over his heart, and sang the national anthem. The coach, Mike Tomlin, by the way, a supporter of Black Lives Matter, but let that go, let it be known after the game. You could see the fury in his face. I thought, frankly, his eyeballs were going to pop out of his skull. I mean, he was enraged because by standing there by himself, he made all of them look like the chumps and the weasels and the losers that they are. So listen to Tomlin say, we didn't want Alejandro out there. That wasn't the game plan. Roll it, Brittany.
Alamo was okay. He came out. He was out of the tunnel because of
like I said, I was looking for 100% participation. We're going to be respectful of our football team.
Well, now the line is he disrespected his team. They were in the locker room. He was outside in the tunnel. And let me tell you what happened. Mike Tomlin told him, you ever want to work again, you better apologize. All of the owners with Roger Goodell said, you know what, buddy? You think you're going to make us all look bad? You're the only Patriot here? You better go out there and apologize, or you're never going to work in the NFL again. And so after they took this poor guy to the woodshed, with Ben Roethlisberger, all of his teammates, his coach, the ownership, just barreling down on this guy. On Sunday, he stood for the anthem and the flag. Yesterday, he was apologizing for standing for the anthem and the flag. Roll it, Brittany.
I've made Coach Tomlin look bad, and that is my fault, and that is my fault only. I've made my teammates look bad, and that is my fault only. And I made the Steelers also look bad, and that is my fault and my fault only. So unwillingly, I've made a mistake. I've talked to my teammates about the situation. Hopefully they understand it. If they don't, I still have to live with it because the nature of this debate is causing a lot of very heated reactions from fans, from players, and it's undeserving to all the players and coaches from this organization.
Honestly, I couldn't believe it when I saw this story last night, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I couldn't believe it. He's the one hero in all of this. The one hero. The one hero. The one guy who did the right thing. The one guy. The one guy. And in fact, according to what he said, one of the reasons why he went into the tunnel and stood was because he was getting text messages from fellow soldiers and wounded veterans who said, come on, Alejandro. You of all people, you've got to stand for the national anthem. You've got to stand for the flag. 3 tours in Afghanistan. He buried his friends there. An Army Ranger, a patriot, a veteran, a family man. The one guy who does the right thing. And they force him, essentially, they blackmail him into having to apologize? For what? For standing for the national anthem? For respecting the flag and the country that he served under? It's sad. You want to know my honest reaction when I go, this is depressing. I mean, this is just sad. It's tragic. What's he apologizing for? I don't see Mike Tomlin apologizing. You think any of those guys kneeling? You think none of them apologized. This guy's got to apologize? My friends, this is what's wrong with America in 2017. Right here, with this example right here. Up is down is up, white is black, black is white. This is exactly what's wrong with this country. Now, what to me is incredible, because the blowback has been absolutely immense, not just across the league, but especially among Pittsburgh Steelers fans. So you're seeing video after video of people burning their jerseys, burning their Steelers jackets, saying they're lifelong fans, 35, 40, 50 years. Many of these people make $40,000 a year, saying, you don't know what an investment it is for me to have a jersey or to have a jacket, and they're burning them, saying, how dare you do this to us? And so they're facing this ferocious backlash. So listen now to the quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, who, by the way, has been humiliated by all this because Alejandro stood in the tunnel and that loser didn't. So listen now to Ben Roethlisberger saying, well, us boycotting the national anthem, maybe it wasn't such a good decision after all. Roll it, Brittany.
I wish that we would have been on the field That's just my personal feeling on it. I'm entitled to that opinion. That's what's great about this country and what the troops are for. I wish we could have stood out there, but what was important was being united as well, and that's what we showed. We showed unity because that's what we need in this country right now. There's so much division. We need to stay together, and so all in all, that's what we stood for.
Yeah. Just should have gone on the field, huh? Shouldn't have boycotted the anthem. You phony, you fraud, you. So again, why is Alejandro being forced? If you guys should have been on the field, and if you guys should have been allowed, some of you, to stand for the national anthem, why are you blaming him? Now, to me, this makes absolutely no sense. So, if Roethlisberger is apologizing, then why is Villanueva apologizing? I'll tell you why. Because he made them all look like a bunch of ingrates. All of them look like a bunch of anti-American, spoiled brats. He made them look like chumps. And so now you get out there and you grovel and you apologize. Or else you'll never see a dime from the NFL again. Now, the sports media, overwhelmingly liberal, overwhelmingly politically correct. They began yesterday, and I told you the liberals wouldn't stop. Listen now to Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp on something called Fox Sports 1. Alejandro Villanueva, was wrong to stand for the national anthem. Why? Because he disrespected his team. Here's Shannon Sharp first. Roll it, Brittany.
I believe he put his personal feelings and beliefs in front of that of the team. And this is a team. Now, what we know about the military asks a man to put his or her life in the hands of another man.
True.
When you go outside of that protocol, people's lives are at risk.
That is correct.
That's what Colonel Jessup said and a few good men. Skip, if the team took a vote and they said, this is what we're going to do, although I understand that he served in the military, I commend him for his service, but this is a team. And the team said, this is what we're going to do. We criticize so many athletes when they put their goals, their views, their ideas in front of the team. Well, that's what he did. He said, forget what you guys said. This is what I'm going to do. And I believe in this instance, he was wrong. Because if the team voted, James Harrison leads me to believe that they had agreed as a team that we are going to stand in the tunnel. We are not coming out for the national anthem. And by saying, I thought we had a deal or we had an agreement, but I guess not, leads me to believe he's not on board with.
Listen now to Skip Bayless.
And yet, I'm with you. It didn't work for him to step out of the tunnel. If, in fact, you had all agreed, you had voted, whether majority or unanimously, to do this as a team, to stay up in the tunnel until the anthem was done. And Mike Tomlin was clear, and I loved what Mike said after the game. I'm a big Tomlin fan.
This to me is I'm watching this. I'm like, this is Orwellian. This is unbelievable. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin. So, number one, look at these morons. Okay, number one, the team. Excuse me. The flag is a hell of a lot more important than your dinky team. Let's get something I know you jocks think you guys are the center of the universe, but I got news for you, okay? You, National Felons League. You know what? There are some things even bigger than you. The country, the anthem, and the flag. That's number one. Number two, you guys are all the same ones who say, Colin Kaepernick, oh, it doesn't matter what the team says. He's got a right to sit on the bench. He's got a right to kneel down. He's got a right to protest. His rights to freedom of speech trump that of the team. Well, what about Alejandro Villanueva's rights? Which, by the way, unlike the Crapper man, he fought for. He buried his friends in Afghanistan. You're going to tell a military vet and a war hero that he doesn't have the right to stand up for the national anthem? Are you freaking kidding me? Let's get something here crystal clear to all of the jock sniffers. The flag, our country, our national anthem our veterans, our military, those who fought and died for our freedom, they're a hell of a lot more important. It's not even a contest. They're a hell of a lot more important than the dinky Pittsburgh Steelers, than dinky Mike Tomlin, or any other NFL team. You guys get that? I don't care if you voted on it or didn't vote on it. He fought, and many of his friends died for his right to stand for the national anthem. I'm done with you. And so is much of middle America. You want to see anti-Americanism on full display? Here it is. And so the question now, honestly, my friends, is this. Whose side are you on? Whose side are you on? The multimillionaire thug protesters or the American flag? Take your pick. I know what side I'm on. What side are you on?
I've made Coach Tomlin look bad, and that is my fault, and that is my fault only. I've made my teammates look bad, and that is my fault only. And I made the Steelers also look bad, and that is my fault and my fault only. So unwillingly, I've made a mistake.
That's Alejandro Villanueva, the lone Steelers player who stood up and respected the national anthem and the flag on Sunday. He's now been forced to apologize. My question to you is this. Should Villanueva have apologized? Did he let down his team? If you believe the answer is yes, text the letter A to 680-680. If you believe the answer is no, and I'm a big no, an emphatic no, text the letter B to 680-680. We'll have the poll results after the news break. Alfie, go ahead, Alfie.
Hello, Jeff. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Alfie?
Yes, Jeff. Yeah, that guy's a hero, that Villanueva, and he should know that, and that the country's behind him. But Jeff, I just wanted to make a point. Since Kaepernick had cast this political stink over the NFL, Trump should demand, like, you know how they have the warnings on the cigarette packs?
Yes.
Trump should demand that right under the Gillette Stadium sign they have a disclaimer that football can injure people's brains. All this medical and scientific information's coming out. And since Crafty there has gone along with Goodell and all the other phonies, they've opened up this political Pandora's box, and Trump's in a good position to take a slap back, and demand that they post this up in big lettering right under the Gillette sign.
Alfie, thank you for that call. Mark in New York. Go ahead, Mark.
Howdy, Jeff. Long-time listener, huge fan of the show.
Welcome, Mark.
Jeff, I'm a Republican and a conservative. Been one for a long time. And I agree and I disagree to some extent. But what I want to say is that I agree with you on this one particular point. When Tim Tebow and other coaches were kneeling on the field in prayer after a touchdown or before a game, all hell broke loose out in the country. It was like these were the worst people on the face of the earth. I find it very sad and hypocritical that the NFL, when Donald Trump challenged their corporate identity and called out billionaires who have a high self-esteem of themselves, all of a sudden now, he's attacking our brand. Let's get out there and push our corporate brand. It's not about patriotism. It's not about loyalty. It's not about standing for anything. It's just corporations standing up for themselves.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you for that call, Mark. Look, that's what this is about. This is about the NFL basically telling Trump, blank off, you're not going to hold us or our players accountable, no matter how outrageous or offensive or disrespectful their behavior. That's what this is all about. Well, okay, now the NFL, they think they're bigger than America. We're going to find out now in the next couple of weeks. To me, you don't poke middle America in the eye. You're not bigger than America. America is bigger than you. 617-266-6868. More with your calls next.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 93.7 WEEI HD2 Lawrence, Boston. It's 1 o'clock.